Users can create a feature story, all right, by moving to our back end. Let's start with creating our database table. So I'm actually going to just close out of the front end. All right, we can leave this up. Yeah, let's just close out of the front end. Condense all of my front end folders as well because we're going to focus on the back end. So I'm going to actually just copy this entire projects folder, and then I am going to paste it within the SRC folder. I'm going to rename it features. All right, and then I'm going to start working on all of the files inside of it. Okay, so I'm going to rename this features.module.ts. I'm going to rename this features.service.ts, and then let's go ahead and edit it. Okay, let's do this one to the entity first. Okay, this is going to be feature.entity.ts. All right, so I'm going to start with my feature entity. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and open up my database table schema, so that way I can take a look at what I was trying to do here. Okay, I did forget status. So let's go and add status and status onto the feature table. Okay, so we need ID. All right, we need project ID, which is going to be the foreign key. Okay, so instead of many to one user, we're going to have many to one project. Okay, and then we're going to have project, and then we're going to have project.features. Okay, so essentially we are going to have one project with many features is what this is saying. So then let's change this to project is equal to project. Okay, it's mad at us because we need to add a one-to-many to our project. So I'm going to actually steal that from the user entity like this. And then I'm going to go to the project entity to add my one-to-many relationship. So there's going to be one project, and the project will have multiple features. So I'm going to do feature, and then we're going to do feature. Okay. Sorry, now I'm getting confused about what I'm supposed to edit because this one was project before. So project represents feature in the scenario, and then this, so this should be feature. Sorry, I got a little confused for a second. So then features is going to be feature array. All right, and then feature dot project. All right, cool. So that's edited. We don't need the user entity anymore, and now it's not mad at our many to one. Okay, so then we'll have a name, a description that's optional, and then a status with the default of to do. Perfect. Let's get rid of this unnecessary import. All right, and then let's go to our service next. Okay, so this is going to be our features service. All right, so I'm going to actually inject the repository, feature. I'm going to inject the repository feature here as well. It's the same setup every time. Okay, so the more you do it, the better you're going to get at knowing what all you need to add. All right. We're essentially going to use the same functions here. So I'm going to kind of just go and edit, and then we'll explain. Okay, so if I want to get user features, all right, I'm going to go into the features repository, and I'm going to find the features where the project ID matches this project ID that is passed in. Okay, so then for create a project, I'm going to change this to create a feature. Okay, and I'm going to say save name description. All right, and then I'm going to pass in, instead of user ID, I'm going to pass in project ID. And so then this is going to be project ID, project ID. Okay, then I'm going to go and get user project features. So we need to edit this a little bit more with the project ID. So the project is tied to the user, but the feature is tied to the project. Okay, so this should actually be get project features. All right, so this looks pretty good to me in terms of service. So let's go over to our module and let's get rid of those imports that are not correct. And then let's change these to feature. And let's import. We want to import the entity, we want to import the service, and we want to and that should be good. All right, so the final piece of the puzzle is that we need to go to the auth module and we need to import the features module. I guess I said last piece of the puzzle, but I lied. We also need to, in the auth service, go ahead and import or add a private features service to the constructor. Perfect. All right. So I'm already starting to see that things are a little bit different, right? So we're not passing, we don't need the user ID here. We actually need a project ID here. Okay. And we're gonna have to do a little bit more work too, because we don't want just anyone to be able to go and get the project. So we also will need a user ID too. So I'm gonna say user ID number, keep that there, and then I'm gonna add an additional parameter of a project ID, okay? And we are not, oh wait, I'm adding this to the wrong guy. Okay. Sorry, create project route. Okay, so we're actually gonna be editing the create feature. Okay, so we want to do project ID number. All right, and then we want to do return await this dot feature service dot get project features based on the project ID. Okay, so then we want to find, first we want to go ahead and say const project exists, project is equal to this dot project service dot get users projects. Well, let's do get users projects, and then we want to pass in the user ID, okay? And then we are going to console log projects so I can see what that looks like. So I can filter the projects. Okay. All right, so it's mad that I'm gonna do user ID here, and then we're gonna add one more console log for our project ID. All right, we need to go back to the auth controller now, because we have an issue here where we are not passing in the feature DTO dot project ID. And this is exactly also what I'm talking about up here in terms of why we keep a separate DTO here, because you never know what you're going to add. And then that is going to be equal to a number. All right. So now on our front end, we are going to return over here to our add a feature, and we're going to give it a try. We have to add in a project ID first. Okay, so let's go to project, which is then going to go to create feature accordion. All right. So we also need to pass in the project ID, which means we need to have the project ID, so back to project. Okay, so we're console logging project here. So let's go and look at that. All right, and we see the ID here. Okay, so then we need to pass in here project ID is equal to project dot ID. All right, and so then we need to go and add project, not product, but project ID. And then let's add it to our props type. Project ID is going to be a number. Okay, and then we can add on here project ID. Okay, so let's give this a try now. We're going to add a feature. We're going to say feature K. This is my feature K description. Create feature. All right, and errors, but that is okay. All right, so we have name feature K, description. This is my feature K description. User ID 41, project ID 3. Projects is a pending promise, which is good. And then relation feature does not exist, which is fair because we didn't run our migration, generate or run a migration. Okay, so let's go back to auth service. Okay, so we want to say await here. Okay, and then let's go ahead and try this again. Create feature. All right, so these are all of the features or the projects that come back for my user. Okay, so we want to make sure that I can access the right one. So we're going to say const project exists is equal to projects.filter. Or actually, let's do project.find. Okay, project. And we're going to find project.id is equal to project ID. Okay, then we're going to do console.log project exists, and let's log it. Okay, so basically what we're doing here is we're going to get the projects that are associated with that user, and then we're going to check, do we have a project that's associated with that user that matches the project ID that we're going off of, okay? Because we don't want someone to be able to use this route to create a feature in someone else's project, okay? So let's do feature K. This is my feature K description. And add. All right, so project exists. Okay, perfect. And then we're going to say, let's just do project. Okay, and then we're going to say if project.id, if that's defined, okay, then we are going to return await, get all the projects. No, get all of the add, we want to return await, create feature. Okay, otherwise we want to return, or let's do throw new unauthorized exception, project not found. Okay, so let's go and look at our create feature, because when we are passing in more than that. So we want to pass in name, description, project ID. Okay, so hopefully that works. So we already know that those are coming through fine. We already know that our projects are coming through fine. So we're going to do that. Okay, and then we are going to go ahead and run our migration. So I'm going to do clear, and I'm going to go cd API. I'm going to say npm run migration :generate, but I'm not going to press enter yet because I have to go and rename my migration. So I'm going to call this create feature table, and let's give it a try. All right, then I can go ahead and do npm run migration run, and it added my table. All right, so I'm going to go check my database now and find the correct database. That's test. We want to-do list. Let's go ahead and refresh, and we see feature in there. Let's view all rows. Should have nothing in it so far. All right, perfect. Now let's go ahead and create this feature, okay? Your feature has been successfully created. All right, and then let's go ahead and refresh. And yay, we have our feature, okay? So kind of yay, because we have some issues then too. We can see that we don't have our status, okay? And that is because we don't have the user story portion of things yet. So we are going to actually edit our table to include the statuses, but we are going to go ahead and hard code them for now. Or you know what? I think we're actually going to just comment out the status part for now, and then we'll go back and add this portion when we have it. All right. So I'm going to go back up to project. I'm going to keep this here, okay? And trying to decide how I want to do this. I'm going to not worry about this. All right, I am going to delete my sample data object because now, momentarily actually, because now I need to set up the loader data correctly. But I'm going to keep this blank right now and not worry about it until we get to our user stories and our developer tasks, because I just don't know how that's all going to link. So it's not worth it to me to worry about this, because soon the feature will have the user story data within it because it'll be a foreign key lookup. Okay, so not going to worry about it for now, and we will go back, but we do have the kind of logic worked out. All right, so our loader data, let's go and look at the index.tsx file to see what we're loading in on that project page. Okay, so we were saying go get that project. So then let's go and look, and we want to include the features then on the project, which they are not included here. So let's go and include those. Okay. So get project, get user projects. Let's go look at that. Okay. And then we want to do, let's look up type ORM get relations. How do I get relations of my relations? Let's look. Okay, so then we are going to include this relations array. So we have the where object, okay, it's going to be next to it. So we're going to say relations, and then we are going to load in the features. Okay, I'm going to refresh my page and see what happens. Whoop, whoop. All right, so now you have the project, and then we have an array of all of our features here. Okay, but as you can see, this is using our sample data still. And it's not setting our data equal to this features array, but we can add that. Right, project. Okay, so now data is going to be the loader data. So features is going to be set to data dot features. All right, it's mad at me because my project type doesn't have the features array in it. And it's going to be of type feature. It's mad at me. Let's see what it's mad about. ID, name, description, features, status, property features on pages, / project does not equal. Okay, so this data is not a list of projects. It's just one. All right, I will be right back. I need to close my door. All right, let's keep looking. We have one more error on page project. And, oh yeah, because we're not loading in our projects anymore. So let's go back to our index.tsx and make sure we are doing the correct thing. So projects / params at ID. Okay, so let's go ahead and console log. Project doesn't exist anymore. So we're going to change this to project. Okay, and then we are going to put this as project.features. We're getting close, but so many issues. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and look at project.features. All right, it's saying that it can't read properties of undefined for mapping. So I'm going to change this to console log features and see how we're doing. And refresh the page. Features is undefined. So let's console log. Okay, so let's console log project again. All right, so project is still in array. Okay, so project is equal to project type. Okay, so then this is going to be project 0. Okay, and then, all right. So we had it pretty almost done the first time. All right. It also makes me want to take this logic out of this component because clearly, there we go. All right. So let's give this a try. We add a feature. The feature name is going to be feature A. And I'll say this is the description of feature A. And then click create feature and we have it. Let's refresh and we get both of our features. Okay, let's go back to projects. All right, so this is project A. All right, let's see project H. All right, so project H doesn't have any features then. Good. Project C doesn't have any features. Project B, good. All right, that looks good to me. So we created the onSubmit function for add a feature with form data. We created the feature database and we created a create feature function that saves the new feature in the database and returns all of the features. And we have we created our success toast for feature creation. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move this to done. There will still be some things that we need to work on, such as our status, but we will go ahead and add that once we have our user stories and tasks, because that's how features statuses are calculated. All right, I'll see you in the next one.